I got to admit, I fucked up. This episode was supposed to be about how we do it when we are preparing for babies, and what we think of when we are collecting the babies, and how to care for them during the first couple of days. Me and Tim have shot a big part of the video with all like the informative parts mostly, but what we were lacking when we did that was to have a litter that was born. But after that we have had several litters that dropped, and I've just been thinking I take the next one. Because mainly I wanted a really special one to show you. And yeah, here we are. We have a ton of females that we are expecting to drop quite soon, but you will just have to wait for that video another week or two, because we need the material to finalize that video so we can give it to you as an education on how we do it. So instead of that, I was thinking, why not record another episode? And I was thinking that we were going to talk about 4 different genes that you should have in your breeding program. And before we get started, I was thinking that we're going to show off a few animals, and let's see if you can figure it out, what 4 genes I'm thinking about. So now I ask you to hit the pause button and write your comments down below what your guesses is for the 4 different genes. The genes I'm talking about is hypomelanistic, anerythristic, blood, and albino. And albino, whatever strain you want to work with. Today there are so many, both the T positive and T negative. And what does T positive and T negative mean? The T stands for tyrosinase. At least I think it's called that in English. It's called tyrosin in Swedish. If I'm not pronouncing it correct, sorry, I'm Swedish, and yeah, that's just the way it is. But the thing is, like, to understand with tyrosinase is that no matter if it's a T positive or T negative albino, none of them is going to create melanin. Melanin is the black pigments. And there we have the perfect example of the IMG, the increased melanin gene, but we come to that later. So the T positives, they still produce tyrosinase, and tyrosinase is the enzyme that produces melanin. They are still not producing melanin, so they still can't produce black, but they can still produce darker colors such as brown and gray and stuff like that, and makes for much more contrasty animal compared to like the T negatives most of the time. So, and the T negative then of course doesn't produce tyrosinase and therefore don't produce any darker colors. Whatever albino strain you choose to work with, if you're new to this, starting up boa breeding, I would suggest that you will focus on one of the albino strains. This, of course, depends on how much room you have, how many animals you want to keep, and so on. But 3 of the 4 genes I mentioned are recessive traits. And doing multiple recessive combos, you definitely need more animals compared to if you're thinking about like the incomplete dominant traits or the dominant traits, where it's super easy to produce something that looks the same. And not only when it comes to the albino that we have different strain, this is also the case when it comes to Anerythristic. We have the original Anerythristic, that's many people nowadays call type 1, that's come from Colombia. Then we have Anerythristic type 2, that's Central American. But then we also have the black-eyed anery, Ralph Davey reptiles, black-eyed anery, and the black-eyed anery carbon. And it's the same here as it is on the albinos, that they are not compatible with each other. On the albinos we have an exception, I believe, with the sharp T negative and the Boa woman caramel T positive, that they are compatible with each other, that they are sitting on the same alley and then produces, I think it's called paradigm or something. This is not something that we work with, so definitely not a super expert on this. And even when we come to imperator morphs, that we are quite big in breeding boas and quite well renowned for the quality that we produce, we are still choosing to just work with 2 albino strains, and that is Cal on the T negative side and VPI on the T positive. So when it comes to the 4 different genes I mentioned, you can produce a lot of different stuff if you have this in your collection. Like for example, if you pair the hypo with an albino, you get sunglows. If we add Anerythristic on them, we get snow glows if they are hypo and snows without. If it comes to on the Cal strain, the snow glows is called moon glows, but it's still the same genetics, that it's hypo, albino, and Anerythristic visual. And in most cases, I think that when we come to the blood, paired with the albino genes, you get amazing animals no matter what strain we're talking about. There are so many different names, but when we come to the Cal, it's red dragons. I know it's fire opals on the sharp, and then we have the VPI blood and the VPI sunglow blood, or VPI sun dragon, whatever you want to call it. And you have the phoenix boas, and yeah, they are just simply amazing. Blood and albino is such a nice combo. It's a double recessive, so definitely would take your time to produce if you're not able to buy the heads, but well worth it, I would say. But to consider with all these genes is that not animals are created equally just because they are containing same genetics. There's definitely a big difference when it comes to like the coloration of the animal, depending on what polygenic traits the animals might be carrying. But when it comes to the bloods, you should really look for like the red ones. You have a lot of bloods today that are more brownish. In my opinion, not what we want. We want the red ones, and they should remain red up to adult age. So with these 4 genes, you will have a super nice foundation. Then on top of that, you can add all the different like pattern morphs. You have the recessive, like leopard, super nice, gives you a bit smaller animals, impacts both the coloration and the pattern. Definitely a favorite, both like we've done the red dragon leopard and still trying to produce more of those. And one of our true favorites is the habaneros, that is the VPI Sunglow leopard, and we really look forward to see the snow and snow glow version of that. And then we have like all the incomplete dominant traits with jungle, Key West, Aztec, Labyrinth. All of these also not only impacting the pattern of the animals, they also impacts the coloration of the animals. So we believe, for example, in the VPI blood project, that jungle will be a super nice enhancer, the same as Labyrinth will be. When it comes to the incomplete dominant traits, we haven't mentioned all of them, is that just read up if it's suitable to produce the supers. Not all of them are maybe suitable to breed the supers off, because you can get some problems with them. And then you can also mix this with like the dominant traits, where we have the IMG, that is a big favorite of a lot of people. I think like the mix of the incomplete dominant trait motley, that definitely shouldn't be produced in super, and the dominant of IMG that creates the super black snake is a true favorite of a lot of people. Just to consider with IMG, both non-albino versions, but also when it comes to the T positive, is that you will get dark snake. Like on the VPIs you get like the chocolate brown, but it will still erase a lot of the pattern. So if you're breeding to produce something like a nice, aberrant, cool pattern, and this is what you want, then maybe IMG isn't the thing to put into it. But this is also like understanding what the different genes does. Like if we take Labyrinth, for example, that has a decreased melanin production, usually, especially if you add hypo and labby paired with like VPI, you most likely still will have super nice pattern in adulthood. So what's your favorite combo? Please drop it down in the comment. I know this video wasn't the one that was supposed to be done, and it's done a little bit on the fly, but I really hope that you liked it, and hopefully we will see the correct episode next week. So fingers crossed that we have some babies dropping this week. We have a lot of females that looks like they are about to pop, but they, yeah, one or two could be due, so we get the content to finalize the next video.
So we hope you liked today's episode, and if you love to see more of this content, make sure to subscribe to this channel. It would be a pleasure to see you in the next episode. Take care, see you soon.